Gator coming out with a new book geared toward queer youth.
It's called Don't Say Gator. If that phrase sounds a little familiar, we're going to talk about the inspiration for this book coming up in just a minute. Joining us live to tell us about this new story and why it's important to have stories like this on bookshelves is author Douglas Killingtree. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm delighted.
So let's talk about the idea for Don't Say Gator. Where did this book come from?
Well, I was listening to a podcast about the news down in Florida, that horrible bill that's actually spread well beyond Florida now. We think of it as a Florida thing, but it's happening in a lot of states now. And it occurred to me that a lot of those kids down there between home and school and their churches might not have anybody telling them that who they are is okay. It's okay to be whoever they are.
Right.
So.
Florida's legislation to prohibit the discussion of sexuality among younger age groups, kind of being dubbed the "Don't Say Gay" bill, is what a lot of people know it as. So you're listening to this conversation here on the West Coast, and you were inspired to write a book about it.
Yeah, because I mean, if I can discuss a little suicidal ideation for a minute, it's very it's 4 times more likely among LGBTQ youth than it is amongst their peers. And the reason for that isn't because they're more prone to that, it's because the society around them is telling them that there's something wrong with them. So what I wanted to do was create somewhat of an anthem for them, something that there is a musical component to it as well online, that they can watch the animated musical version. So to give them something to remind them in moments where they're feeling down that they can be proud of who they are.
And having this conversation with not only teens but young kids, what's important about really just normalizing being able to talk about being queer?
Right. Well, because queer kids know that they're queer. They might not be able to put a certain label on it right away, or they might be discovering some things about themselves, but I remember when I was a kid, like, I didn't know anything about sex or the word gay or anything like that. But I remember going to my first day of kindergarten and seeing the boys that I thought were cute, and that feeling of like having that crush. It's innocent, and it's they know that they're queer. So if we make that a negative thing for them, that's just going to continue to keep that suicide rate so much higher.
It's interesting that you look at the emotional and the identity aspects of this conversation, because I think that's one of the things that we've heard in this back and forth in this debate a lot is, well, these aren't appropriate conversations for younger kids. So how do you approach this in an age appropriate way?
Yeah, and I think it's thank you for asking that, because I think that we oftentimes think of being gay or being trans or whatever as a sexual thing. And that's really, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of what being queer is. And I think that when we come at it from an angle of that this is about love, this is about who you are, this is about the people in your life, and just celebrating being exactly who you are and not having to change for anybody else, I think that's very important.
What is the story, if you can give us a little teaser trailer?
So for my newest book, for Don't Say Gator, there's not a through narrative. It's more of a song about being proud of who you are. So Gator comes to their school and sees that there's a protest happening outside, and just goes into the song of, like, shuffling off the sadness and being proud of who you are and being happy about who you are, and singing out to others to let them know that that they're supported as well. You
have a couple other books here as well that explore some similar themes for families. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my first book, Normal Turtle, that's a story about a fox who gets stuck in a turtle shell when they're young and is raised as a turtle, even though they know on the inside that they're actually a fox.
Aww.
And so it's all about learning to come out of your shell and being accepted by the people in your life. And then An Actual Family is about an otter that's adopted by 2 penguins, and thinks that she needs to go and find her actual family, and of course finds that there are many different types of families along the way. So that's her journey in coming back home.
Okay, and how can people find your books? Where can they get them?
They're available on mascot.com. You can also go to don'tsaygator.com. Don't Say Gator actually releases tomorrow, so that'll be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million online, as are the others.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. So look out for that tomorrow, wherever you get your favorite books. And author Douglas Killingtree, thank you so much for being here. Great to have you this morning. It's a wonderful message for families everywhere. So if you're looking for a new read, you can find Don't Say Gator right now on mascotbooks.com and at major booksellers starting tomorrow.
It's 8:13 right now.